sports.
We are Black Horse. We are Southwest.
The Rangers have taken advantage of a struggling American League Central over the past 6 weeks. Flushing the Royals, taking a pair from the Twins, hammering the White Sox, and starting off this trip with another win. Tonight, more of the same from the Motor City.
Well, it is an absolutely gorgeous evening here in Detroit, Michigan, as you take a look at downtown Motown. Welcome, everybody, to the Rangers and the Detroit Tigers. I'm CJ Nikowski, and this right here is Tom Grieve. And Tom, there's an unbalanced schedule in baseball. That's the way things work. Lots of divisional play, but I think if the Rangers could change things up, they'd like that balanced schedule because they would love to play the American League Central a little bit more.
They would, CJ. They played very well against the Central. They've hit the ball extremely well against the Central. They've taken care of business in the Central. In 13 games, they've gone 10-3. They've scored over 6 runs a game. They've hit 21 home runs in 13 games. Now, in these games against the Central, they played Kansas City, Minnesota, the White Sox, and Detroit. Those 4 teams are a combined 88 games under 500. But what you can say about the Rangers, they've hit the ball well, and they've won some games against the Central that you're supposed to win.
And on the mound for the Rangers, a guy with plenty of wins. We love when these days come up. It's Bartolo Colon going tonight for the Rangers.
Well, we've had a lot to talk about this season with Bartolo. It's been a very interesting timeline when you study it from the end of spring training to the beginning of the season. He signed a minor league contract at the end of spring training. His contract was purchased, and he pitched against the A's on April 2nd. He went 6 innings and only gave up 1 run in that game. Then he followed it up on April 8th with his 10th career relief appearance. A little bit later, he pitched 7 perfect innings against the Astros. On June 18th against the Royals, he won his 244th game, replaced Juan Marichal as the winningest Dominican-born pitcher. Then on June 30th, he won number 245. He tied Dennis Martinez for the most wins by a Latin-born pitcher. Now, against the Tigers tonight, he's going to face a relatively inexperienced lineup. Total, the Tigers are 9 for 37 against him. Most of that is Victor Martinez, who's 6 for 22. A win tonight for Bartolo will make him the winningest Latin-born pitcher.
And we certainly want to see that this evening. Also, we're going to get an opportunity to see a guy who has been on an unbelievable streak. You've heard about it. Well, now we're going to put him in the spotlight. When we get back, John Radigan has all you need to know about Shin-Soo Choo.
Rangers baseball is sponsored by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
Welcome back to Detroit, where we are in the midst of a perfect summer day.
and on the verge of baseball history. That is a very special combination as we welcome you inside Comerica Park. And CJ and Tom have already told you about the historic nature of this day for Bartolo Colon, but in our Shiner Box Spotlight, we have another veteran who is on the verge of Texas Rangers history. That would be Shin-Soo Choo. He has already amassed the longest on-base streak in the majors this season. In fact, the 44-game streak is the longest since 2016 when Freddie Freeman went for 46 in a row. Shin-Soo Choo has hit .335 during the streak and has hit in 14 of the last 15 games. But speaking of 46 in a row, that also happens to be the Rangers record, held by Julio Franco. Choo says he doesn't concern himself with the streak. He just wants to help the team win. Jeff Bannister says that is and always has been the way that Shin-Soo Choo approaches the game. It is almost time for baseball. When we come back to Comerica Park, we give you the starting lineups and the first pitch of the Rangers and the Tigers here on Fox Sports Southwest.
Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by GMC. Visit your local GMC dealer. Well, welcome back to Detroit, Michigan, and a beautiful night here at Comerica Park. It's going to be the Rangers and the Tigers just about ready to get underway. I'm going to go ahead and show you the Texas Rangers lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. And some good news for Rangers fans, as John Radican just ran through what's been happening lately with Shin-Soo Choo. He'll be leading off tonight, and Elvis Andrews batting second, playing short. Nomar Mazara is in right field. He'll be batting third. You got Adrian Beltre playing third base this evening. Rougned Odor is at second. Robin Citrinos behind the plate. Ronald Guzman at first. Ryan Rua is in left, and Delino DeShields in center. Ryan Rua was a late add to this lineup. That's because Joey Gallo was a late scratch, and more on that. Let's throw it down to John Radican.
Yeah, CJ, thanks very much. And Joey actually has what's officially being called a left eye contusion. It was actually a batting practice / shagging mishap. He and Delino DeShields got kind of tangled up, and part of Delino's glove, part of the leather on his glove actually caught Joey in the eye. There was a concern that there was a scratch on the eye, and obviously the contusion indicates there is at least a slight scratch. Now, trainer Kevin Harmon says that Joey is already improving, but they don't want a guy guy to go out there with even slightly compromised vision and face 95-mile-an-hour fastballs. So at least as a precautionary effort, they're going to keep Joey out of the game today. He's day-to-day. Matt Lucero, the assistant trainer, tells me the other good news is eyes heal extremely quickly. They're going to bring in a specialist to take a look at Joey, but there's not major concern. He is, though, out of the lineup for today, guys.
Certainly better to be safe than sorry when dealing with the eyes. Well, for the Rangers tonight, going up against Jordan Zimmerman, the right-hander for the Detroit Tigers. And Tom, let's take a look at that pitch arsenal for Zimmerman.
Let's do that. Jordan Zimmerman likes to throw a four-seam fastball. He throws it 41% of the time. He also throws a two-seam fastball occasionally. Throws a lot of sliders. 35% of his pitches are sliders. And curveballs, 14%. A couple of changeups. Almost half his pitches are breaking balls. Either a curveball, most of the time a slider.
There's a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. Looked like it was off the plate, but called a strike. And so Ed Hickok setting that strike zone a little bit early. Perhaps that outside corner will be called. And here's the 0-1, and it is lifted to center field and deep. And this one's got some carry on it.
Wow.
And it is gone.
Oh.
Shin-Soo Choo on the second pitch of the ball game just took Jordan Zimmerman out to dead center field. Number 17 for Choo. RBI number 42. And just like that, the Rangers are leading this one 1-0.
That's pretty impressive. First swing of the ball game goes over the 420 sign in center field. We talked about how far that is in yesterday's game. Don't see a lot of balls hit out there, but Choo got a fastball right down the middle of the plate and took his best swing and got it up in the air, and he's got power. We've seen him hit a ball 400 feet to straightaway left field. He can definitely hit one to center field. But the Rangers on the board right off the bat. That's pretty impressive.
Well, Elvis Andrews steps in. He fouls one.
That's not
back here.
That's not like taking a curveball off the hip to extend your streak. that's putting an exclamation point on extending your streak.
Well, Choo leads, no doubt here. First at bat of the game, and that streak now up to 45, trailing Julio Franco by just one now for the Rangers' single season record. You think about when you go through streaks like that, there's a couple of games there where it comes down to your last plate appearance. You're kind of hoping he gets one more plate appearance and always on the edge of your seat just a little bit. Well, not this evening, as Choo answers pretty quickly the question of whether or not that streak will continue. There's the 0-2 to Elvis Andrews, and there's a slider off the plate. Count 1-2. There's another slider. That one misses. Count even now, 2-2. The slider, as Tom mentioned, and you look at that pitch arsenal for Jordan Zimmerman, it has been a good slider for him. 205 batting average against that pitch, but that is the pitch in which he registers his most strikeouts. 30 of those this year have come on the slider. And there is one right there, and it's strike three to Elvis Andrews. One out here in the top of the first.
The StatCast powered by AWS will show us some facts on Shin-Soo Choo's long home run to center field. Let's take a look again. Exit velocity 104 miles an hour. His launch angle 27 degrees. The result, a 436-foot home run to dead center field.
That was impressive. I mean,
that was impressive, boy. Leadoff hitter.
I mean, this is a big ballpark. We talked about that a lot in last night's ball game, and she went pretty much to the deepest part of the ballpark.
That's his 26th career leadoff home run, third this season.
With one out, Nomar Mazara steps in, and he takes a fastball in off the plate. Count 2-0 to Mazara. Overall numbers for Maz this year: 271 batting average, 56 RBIs, are ninth best in the American League, and well above average 790 OPS. So I mentioned the strikeouts for Zimmerman. That's 31 now on the slider after the Elvis Andrews strikeout. The most strikeouts he has on the next pitch is only 6 on his fastball and 6 on his curveball. So it's all about the slider for him when he's trying to finish hitters off. And he's been on a pretty good run here as of late. Over his last 3 starts, he's thrown the ball pretty well. 2.12 ERA over 17 innings.
His fastball is about an average fastball. It's fairly straight. So unless he really pinpoints it where he wants to, he needs to use that slider as much as he does.
Well, the 3-1 is popped up, and Jose Iglesias makes the catch. So 2 out here now in the top of the first. Tom, let's take a look at the Tigers defense.
Yeah, the Tigers defense is sponsored by Jack in the Box. They'll have Victor Reyes in left field. Jacoby Jones had the day off yesterday. He's in center field. Nicholas Castellanos is in right. Ronnie Rodriguez at third. Jim Adducci at first. Up the middle, Jose Iglesias and Nico Goodrum. And behind the plate, James McCann.
So with 2 out and nobody on, Adrian Beltre steps in. He takes a first pitch slider for a strike. Good season for Adrian overall. That batting average over 300, 4 home runs on the season for the future Hall of Famer. There's a fastball swung on a miss. 91 miles an hour, as you mentioned, Tom. Not an overpowering fastball, and it has been an issue this year for Zimmerman. On the 4-seam fastball this year, a 302 batting average against. On that 2-seamer, opposing hitters have hit 300 against that fastball. With a guy like Zimmerman, when he's not going to overpower you, location becomes so important. As I mentioned, it's been much better for him over his last 3. He has walked just 1 batter in his last 17 innings. Or coming into this one, he had not allowed a home run. Well, it's 17 2/3 with 1 home run allowed, but still just a 1 walk.
Yeah, he really couldn't have located that pitch better to be right in Shin-Soo Choo's wheelhouse. If you asked Choo where he wanted it, it would probably be exactly where that pitch was.
Well, it's been a really good year for Choo, but something else that we've been talking about is how good he has been on first pitches of at bats. And you and I were kind of getting to that conversation, just kind of big picture in general for Choo this year, hitting .529 on first pitches as Adrian Beltre takes a slider below the zone. I think I'd be more interested in batting average on the first pitch that a hitter swings at, or the first pitch that's in the zone, to kind of dig a little bit deeper, because his numbers are impressive without a doubt. But that was the second pitch, but the first one he actually swung at. I wonder if those numbers would go even higher. I would assume they'd have to.
Yeah.
There's a called strike 3 to Adrian Beltre. He didn't like it. Looked like it might have been just off, and he's got some words for home plate umpire Ed Hickox. But Adrian Beltre is down and having some smiles and some laughs here in the first inning. But it was Choo who came up big early on, taking this fastball from Jordan Zimmerman to dead center field, and the Rangers lead this one 1-0. First inning. So now we go to the bottom of the first. We'll take a quick look here at the Detroit Tigers lineup. It's Jones, Castellanos, Goodrum, Martinez, Adducci, McCann, Rodriguez, Iglesias, and Reyes for the Tigers this evening. There's Bartolo Colon's first pitch. That's a fastball at 83 miles an hour right on the corner. I mean, I'll assume that had to be a fastball. It wasn't a changeup first pitch of the game, not Bartolo.
It's hard to throw a changeup on the first pitch of the game. You don't really have anything to set it up. I think he was just kind of throwing the ball over the plate, making it move, and trying to get an easy out.
I mean, you know, I say it and I saw it. I'm like, but in the back of your head, you're instantly doubting yourself because it was 83 miles per hour.
Yeah, I would have just called it a BP fastball, I guess. Just took a little off his fastball.
And that's an interesting pitch, right? There's some crafty pitchers that have been able to use that BP fastball to their advantage. Essentially, you're just taking a little bit off your fastball. The velocity drops. The idea is that you'll get a hitter out front. If he's looking for, in Bartolo's case, you know, 87 to 90, where he's kind of been this year. Seen a lot of good righties do that and throw that pitch behind in the count. 2-0 BP fastball. Hitters are geared up for a big fastball. A lot of times they'll catch him out front and they'll pop it up for you. There's a 2-2, and right back to the underrated athletically Bartolo Colon. It makes a nice play and makes it look easy. Let's dig into that pitch arsenal for Bartolo Colon, Tom.
Yeah, it's not a varied pitch arsenal. When you look at his two-seam fastball, he throws it 64% of the time. I guess he throws other pitches, but between the two-seam and four-seam fastball, that's 80% fastballs. He'll throw an occasional changeup, an occasional slider, but as long as he's locating his fastball, especially his two-seam fastball, he'll throw one right after the other. Last game he struggled a little bit with that command, but when he's on, that's pretty much all you're going to see.
It really is incredible in this day and age to see him use this many fastballs at that percentage, and that 80% is fourth best in Major League Baseball. You see the rest of the list among MLB starters, and I think it becomes even more fascinating with Bartolo as his velocity goes down, his fastball usage goes up. Kind of backwards of what we see with most pitchers as they get older. CC Sabathia, I think, is a really good example of a guy who used to throw pretty hard. Fastball velocity has come down. Well, he throws less fastballs. He throws more sliders. Well, Bartolo's gone in the opposite direction. He has really mastered that two-seam fastball. Castellanos hits a high fly ball, but Nomar Mazara's got plenty of room, makes the catch, and it's 2 quick outs on 7 pitches for Bartolo Colon.
Rangers defense is delivered to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. Ryan Rua in place of Joey Gallo is in left. Delino's in center. Nomar is in right. At third base is Adrian Beltre. Up the middle, Elvis Andrus and Rougned Odor. Ronald Guzman is at first base, and Robinson Chirinos gets the nod behind the plate tonight.
Well, nobody on. Nico Goodrum steps in. 8 home runs, 27 RBIs on the season for Goodrum. You see the 241 batting average, but a guy's been playing very well, slugging very well for this Tigers lineup. I got to believe also there's got to be a good opportunity, even though Miguel Cabrera is not in this lineup, out for the season with an injury. The idea of batting behind Castellanos certainly has to play pretty well for Goodrum. He seems to have taken advantage of that. Quick 1-2 count. See 11 pitches here so far for Bartolo Colon. This is an area where Goodrum has actually been very good. 17 extra base hits this season with 2 strikes. Bartolo's 2-2, and that one is fouled back. It's been 13 pitches and 13 fastballs so far in this inning for Bartolo Colon. 2-2 once again, and that one is just off the plate. And they say that Goodrum went, and he's not happy about it as he's standing at home plate, but nothing he can do about it. So a very easy 1-2-3 inning for Bartolo Colon.
Let's take a look at that from the side, and we'll decide whether he swung at it or not. I don't think he did, but the call went Bartolo's way.
Park, and the Rangers got that 1-run lead thanks to the solo home run by Shin-Soo Choo. Extended his on-base streak to 45 games, and for Choo, that was home run number 17 on the season. And Rougned Odor now steps in and shows bunt, but pulls back and still takes that pitch for a strike. 233, 4 home runs, 22 RBIs for Odor on the season, but he has been really good here as of late. And you saw that bunt attempt from, or at least the idea of thinking about bunting for Odor. That has been something that's gone pretty well for him. 6 bunt hits on the season. As you see that shift against Rugi, with Goodrum all the way there in the outfield as they play the lefty to pull.
Yeah, and even though on the left side of the infield they're playing someone even with a bag, he's over closer to shortstop. He's moved back now. And that's really not going to stop Rugi from beating out a bunt if he wants to bunt down the third baseline.
What about the idea of bunting with 2 strikes? I mean, obviously we don't see it. A lot of people say it's a bad play. There's some risk involved. Let's say you're facing a guy that you just have a really difficult time against. Maybe your numbers aren't there. Is it a bad play to try to push bunt? 'Cause you don't have to be perfect. I mean, obviously the idea of just something hard to the third base side is pretty much a base hit.
I think unless you're someone like Nellie Fox or Rod Carew, who can pretty much get a bunt down at will, it's a give up spot.
Yeah, you don't like
basically what you're saying
yeah.
is I can't hit this guy. All I can do is bunt. And if you get the bunt down, it looks great. But if you're a position player and you foul off a bunt, we're not going to say that was a good bunt. I mean, that was a good attempt. I like his idea. Tried to get that bunt down with 2 strikes. We're going to say, ooh, I think Jeff Bannister's going to have a word for him when he gets back to the dugout.
And Rugi has been swinging a pretty good bat, so the idea of bunting with 2 strikes probably not such a great idea. And with 1 out now, Robinson Chirinos will step in here against Zimmerman, who has recorded 3 strikeouts so far through an inning and a third, and that has been something that has been a part of Zimmerman's game this year. Career high for him in strikeouts per 9, as you see that slider swung on a miss from Chirinos. 8.4 is that rate this season coming into this start. And through his first 2 years here in Detroit, this is year number 3. The strikeout rate was 5.8 and 5.6. He just was not getting strikeouts those first couple of years. There was a lot of struggles for Zimmerman his first 2 seasons here with the Detroit Tigers. He signed a 5-year deal back in 2016, but he seems to have righted the ship. It's been a much better year so far here in 2018.
Now getting back to the bunt with 2 strikes, if you feel that you are completely overmatched by a pitcher, you're probably better off not waiting until you get to 2 strikes. You're probably better off bunting right off the bat against him. And especially when he's playing where he was playing Rugi in that at bat, he wasn't really taking the bunt away. If you're playing way in, you can't bunt, but he was not playing way in.
Well, there's another breaking ball from Zimmerman and another strikeout. That is 4 on the night for Zimmerman. Well, that'll bring us to our TXU power player to watch, and it's going to be Ronald Guzman as he steps in. And Ronald Guzman so far versus the Detroit Tigers in his 4 games, 5 for 11 with a home run. The OPS over 1,200. You see the batting average at 455. He has been very comfortable against Tiger pitching so far here early in his career. Breaking ball taken for a strike. I was mentioning Zimmerman and some of those struggles. I got to tell you, when he signed here, 5 years, $110 million, I really thought they got a bargain. He signed pretty early in the offseason. I thought maybe there was more money to be made for him, and now I think Tiger fans may be thinking differently because of those first 2 years and because of the struggles, but still plenty of time to get it turned around. Zimmerman is just 32 years old, and as I mentioned, this season so far has gone pretty well for him. That one is swung on a miss. And here's why I bring that up. As a Washington National from 2011 to 2015, Jordan Zimmerman had a 3.32 ERA. That was the 9th lowest in the National League over that time. But you see what happened here with the Tigers, 5.34 as Guzman hits a soft grounder to Iglesias and easily throws that one over to first base. And it is a 1-2-3 inning for the Rangers. We'll go to the bottom of the second. Big Bart back on the mound when we get back. 1-0. And it's time to get to our Kubota power stats, and they're going to be all about Bartolo Colon and the excellent command. We have talked about it a lot, but how about his career walk rate? 2.5 walks per 9. That is second among active pitchers with at least 2,000 innings. Zach Greinke is the leader right now, but it has been a pretty incredible run for Bartolo as Victor Martinez lines one into center field to lead off the second with a base hit.
In the open to the show, we showed what Bartolo had done against the Tiger lineup tonight. 3 of the guys in the lineup have never faced Bartolo. They had 35, 37 at bats against Bartolo. 22, 23 of them were Victor Martinez. He's seen him quite a bit. But it stands to reason with younger players in the lineup. Some of these guys were barely born when he started his career. They haven't got a lot of experience against him. Victor's experience probably goes back to when Bartolo was a little more of a power pitcher.
Jim Meducci steps in here now against Bartolo. He fouls one back, count even 1-1. But this is what you were talking about, Tom. Pretty incredible when we think about Bartolo Colon. And here's a dribble hit to the right side. Odor over to second to go ahead and get the lead runner, Martinez. That'll be a fielder's choice for Meducci. Victor Martinez does not run well. Smart play there by Rougned Odor to go ahead and get the lead runner. That's what we were talking about. Here's this graphic, Bartolo Colon, and what he has done against this current Tigers lineup.
Yeah, other than Victor Martinez, who's now 7 for 23. Jacoby Jones has 6 at bats. A bunch of guys have 3, and Jim Meducci just had his first at bat. Rodriguez and Reyes haven't had theirs yet. So they'll remember batting against Bartolo Colon, who's won 245 major league games, but they won't have any idea what kind of a pitcher he was in his prime.
Yeah, certainly as a young player, especially when you're a rookie. James McCann, not a rookie, but guys like Reyes, Rodriguez, Goodrum, all rookies. One of the cool things about when you first break into the league is the guys that are on the back ends of their careers, guys that you watched on television or names you've heard of, whatever it may be. It's always kind of a fun experience. When you think about even teammates, were there guys, what guys when you first got to the big leagues, Tom, that were near the end, maybe some guys that were in their 40s? Big names that you're like, hey, I just got to face?
Yeah, a couple of guys that I played with and then faced later at the tail end of their careers were Gaylord Perry and Fergie Jenkins. They were still really good pitchers, but they didn't throw as hard toward the end of their career as they were earlier in their career. I never got a chance to face either one of them in their prime.
Well, McCann hits one deep to left field. Rua is back, but he is going to watch this one go over the wall. And James McCann just hit his 5th home run of the season, and that is going to give the Tigers a 2-1 lead.
Well, Bartolo throws a lot of fastballs. He throws a lot of strikes. And occasionally when he misses his spot, the hitter will take advantage of that. That's the 21st home run he's given up. McCann came into the game with 4 home runs. That's his 5th. Got a pretty good pitch and hit it just far enough to be a home run.
So Bartolo came into this game tied for 2nd in Major League Baseball with home runs allowed. He's actually tied with Cole Hamels at 20, but as you mentioned, that is home run number 21. Jacob Junis with the Kansas City Royals has allowed 24 this season. So now Bartolo Colon in 2nd place all by himself. Now that might be, as we mentioned, the velocity has come down a little bit here for Bartolo over the years, and he does throw a lot of fastballs. And when he's living on the edge of that 2-seam fastball is when he rolls, but some mistakes over the middle of the plate have cost him this year. That has led to the 21 home runs. And at this stage in his career, too, I have to believe if you're an opposing hitter, you know 8 out of 10 pitches are going to be fastballs. You know Bartolo's not going to necessarily blow you away with high velocity. And we don't necessarily see him knock guys down or move their feet very often. So even though he's been very good as this ground ball is hit right at Rougned Odor, who's playing up the middle, It's probably safe to say, Tom, that Bartolo maybe is not an uncomfortable at bat. There's certain guys with high-powered stuff that make you uncomfortable. I think the way he throws is, even though he's been very good.
I don't think anyone that doesn't throw hard is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're easy to hit. There's plenty of guys that aren't hard throwers that you're not going to have a lot of success against because of their talent. But you call those comfortable 0 for 4s. the only guys that are uncomfortable are the guys that in today's game are throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour. Guy with has a really good breaking ball to go along with it, and then maybe have a little bit of a mean streak, be a little bit wild to where you're not 100% sure where it's always going to go. Those are the guys that are uncomfortable and intimidating.
Well, Iglesias lifts a lazy fly ball to right field. Nomar Mazara pulls it in, and the inning is over. But that man right there, James McCann, with the 2-run home run, gives the Tigers an early lead. Opportunity for you. Take home a little bit of snow, and that'll be on Friday, July 20th, as the Rangers take on the Indians. The first 15,000 fans will get a celebration snow globe. That's going to be courtesy of Powerade and Kroger. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com or call 972-RANGERS. Well, Ryan Rua will step in to lead off the top of the third here against Jordan Zimmerman. Rua laid at, as we mentioned. John Radigan covered Joey Gallo. Got scratched with a eye contusion. I think the Rangers being a little bit precautionary as Rua lines this one softly to right field, but he ends up beating the shift, and that'll be a base hit for Ryan Rua.
That was a pretty good pitch by Jordan Zimmerman. He ran his fastball right in the fist of Ryan Rua. And probably a few line drives that Ryan has hit this year that were caught, and there's one that makes up for it.
I tell you what, Tom, I think more than a few. Watching Rua this year, I feel like he's had some pretty bad luck for a while. And of course, he's been up and down a handful of times this year. Always difficult to get in a groove. So it is certainly good to.
He's got a few of these coming.
Yeah, see some of those fall in for Ryan Rua. That'll bring up Delino DeShields, who's batting ninth tonight for the Rangers. Certainly a potential bunt opportunity. We'll see. And there goes Delino, and he squares, and this one will be foul on the first base side. We have seen Delino use the bunt to his advantage quite a bit here so far this season. The Rangers as a team have done an excellent job, and as you see here, Delino 228 overall, but those 16 infield hits, that's fourth best in the American League. And Delino, though he has told us he doesn't do it intentionally, I think when we see him at his best, it's line drives, it's ground balls, keeping the ball out of the air. And that's how you get 16 infield hits. Here's the 0-1, and Delino squares to bunt again. He gets it down. Zimmerman fields, throws to second, and it is going to be in time. Ryan Rua is out. And a nice play by Jordan Zimmerman. Delino was trying to get that ball down the line a little bit more, but Zimmerman hopped off the mound pretty quickly. He made a pretty nice play.
Yeah, I would say probably 75 or 80% of the time, maybe more, that's going to be a sacrifice bunt. But Zimmerman made what looked like a pretty risky play. I thought he would go to first base with that ball, but he fielded it like an infielder and helped himself out by getting the lead runner. Delino has a lot of sacrifice bunts. He has a lot of bunt hits, and a lot of times he bunts with a man on first base trying to get a base hit. And if he doesn't get a base hit, he generally ends up with a sacrifice. That time, the bunt was back to the pitcher, and the pitcher kind of turned the tables on him, got the force out at second base. So credit Zimmerman with a pretty nice play.
Yeah, he did a really nice job. And as much as we talk about all the available numbers, you and I were talking about catchers' pop times earlier. We have exchanges for outfielders, and then also to be able to turn double plays, all that kind of stuff. I kind of want to see the exchange on that one for Jordan Zimmerman. That was pretty quick as far as how quickly he was able to get rid of that ball and make a very accurate throw. There goes Delino. He's on the run. Here's the throw from McCann, and it is in time. And Delino DeShields is caught stealing for just the third time this season. He's standing out there kind of hoping and wondering if the Rangers will want to take a look at this and potentially challenge, as you see Delino in no hurry to get off the field.
Well, McCann throws well. That's his 12th caught stealing coming into the game. He was tied for second in the American League with 11 base runners caught stealing. That's his 12th.
And they are indeed going to
take a look at it.
Challenge this.
That might be his 12th. Let's see.
You try to watch this in full time, at full speed. I thought there was a chance that left hand got in there. But that was interesting. Did you see Don Wakamatsu there, the Rangers bench coach, when we showed him, as you take one more look? There's no tag there. Yeah, I think this one's got a pretty decent chance of getting overturned. What do you think, Tom?
I would have thought he was out if he touched his left arm, but I don't know that he touched his left arm. If he missed his left arm, then I thought he was safe.
Well, there's Don Wakamatsu there, but I thought I saw him, and I've never asked these guys about this, but as far as, you know, how they decide whether or not they want to challenge something, and it looked like he put up 3 or 4 fingers when he was on the phone. I wonder if there's a kind of a 1 through 5 system. Yeah.
I think he's going to be out. I think they're going to say he touched his left arm. Boy, it's tough to say if he touched him or not.
You know what? What gives me hope is the reaction of the crowd when they're watching on the big screen. Because you know, anything close, they're going to be excited. They're going to cheer. But I think they see that oven mitt get in there for Delino DeShields, and a pretty decent chance that this will get turned over. We will see. But I've never asked about their system. I kind of wonder about that, right? Now, this is our forward call on the field. Challenge right now. It's out at second. This instant replay. Delino DeShields sitting just past first base, hoping, praying a little bit. As I mentioned, he had been thrown out twice, and this would be number 3, but maybe it'll remain at 2, and it'll be his 17th stolen base of the season. But that's interesting. I maybe have to ask Banny about that and how that system works, and if it's 1 through 5, and hey, a 4 as in the confidence level, like it's a 4, I'm pretty sure they would turn that over and he was safe. We're going to find out right now, and no, he is out. So not enough evidence for the umpiring crew back at Chelsea, New York. I watched the replay, and so Delino DeShields will indeed be out, the second out of the inning, and the third time this season that Delino has been caught stealing.
I think it's probably one of those plays, regardless of whether he was called out or whether he was called safe. If it was challenged, it probably wouldn't have been overturned.
Yeah, and that is the reality.
Call.
That is the reality of instant replay. So Chu now with a 1-1 count takes a breaking pitch for a strike, count 1-2. 1 minute and 38 seconds on that replay review. That's certainly efficient time. Try to keep those under 2 minutes whenever possible. And there's a called third strike to Chu. Pretty well located pitch on the outside corner, and that is the 5th strikeout tonight for Jordan Zimmerman through 3 innings. We'll head to the bottom of the third. Tigers lead the Rangers 2-1. Well, thank you, Dana. Appreciate that. The Oakland A's have played some good baseball this season. I think surprising a lot of people around the league. Not sure if they're a postseason team potentially, but 48-39 coming into this one and trailing the Astros by 9. Well, Victor Reyes steps in against Bartolo Colon. Fouls one back, count even 1-1. Good location of the fastball, 87 miles per hour. Mentioned, Tom, some of these guys, whether or not they were born or barely born. Bartolo Colon was pitching in the big leagues. Reyes, 23 years old, out of Venezuela, born in 1994, and he pops one down the left field line. That one's going to go out of play. But there's no shortage of really young players in the big leagues right now. A couple of 19-year-olds. Juan Soto with the Washington Nationals, not around when Bartolo broke into the big leagues in 1997. Pitch just misses. Count even 2-2. 31 pitches so far for Bartolo Colon. Unbelievably, 29 of them have been fastballs. And there's another one, and chopped to Adrian Beltre, throws over to Guzman, and Reyes is retired for the first out here in the third. Well, fans, Wednesday, July 27th, the Rangers will be taking on those Oakland Athletics, and that'll be our next Texas Chili Company Dollar Hot Dog Night. Tickets can be purchased at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. One on and nobody out. The order gets turned over now. Jacoby Jones here to face Bartolo Colon. There's a breaking ball. Just the third slider of the night from Bartolo Colon. It's been 3 sliders, 1 changeup, and everything else has been a fastball. 30 of them so far this evening. What's my math? 29. There's a fastball, 87 miles an hour. That backdoor 2-seam fastball that Bartolo Colon likes to start off the plate, bring it back over the middle. And he's having a little bit of fun now with Adrian Beltre. There's the 1-1, and that one is perfectly located. You see Jones kind of looking back at home plate umpire Ed Hickox. I don't know if he's going to have much of an argument, though. This is a pretty good pitch. And there it is again, and Jones is rung up on strikes, and he is frustrated with that. Looked to me like the same exact pitch that was called a strike previously, and so Bartolo Colon has his second strikeout of the night.
The last game, Bartolo said that he really didn't have the kind of command that he normally does. He was aiming for the corners. He was either missing out over the plate or off the plate. But tonight so far he's had pretty good command. Didn't get away with one to McCann, but for the most part he's been throwing the ball where he wants to.
So 2 quick outs for Bartolo Colon. Nicholas Castellanos steps in. Castellanos flew out to Nomar Mazara in the first inning, and he goes hacking at the first pitch and fouls it off 0-1. And we were talking about this ballpark yesterday, Tom, and the home runs and the issues that have come along with this ballpark being so big. But the flip side of that is that because of the alleys here, especially to right center, you start to see a lot more triples. As this one is grounded to Elvis Andrus, and he's going to throw over to Guzman in a very quick 1-2-3 inning for Bartolo Colon. We are through 3 here in Detroit. The Tigers leading the Rangers by 1. That's on Saturday, July 21st. The Rangers will have a 7:05 p.m. game against the Cleveland Indians, and the first 15,000 fans look at an Elvis Andrus Best Friends bobblehead, courtesy of Dr. Pepper and Tom Thumb. It's the second in a series of 2 Best Friends bobbleheads. Make sure you go to TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS, and there is the other half of the Best Friends bobblehead. Adrian Beltre doing pretty much all the talking in that conversation with Robinson Chirinos. Andrews takes that slider just off the plate. Elvis struck out in his first at-bat. Chased that slider from Jordan Zimmerman. 1 of 5 strikeouts for Zimmerman so far this evening. And this one is lifted in the air to the right side. Goodrum looks like you have it, and he will, and it's 1 quick out here in the 4th. It's time now for a word from our friends at Southwest Kia.
At Southwest Kia, we've made car buying easy. $250 down delivers, monthly payments $250 a month or less. SouthwestKia.com.
So with 1 out, Nomar Mazara now steps in against Zimmerman. Nomar flew out to the shortstop Jose Iglesias in the first. Overall numbers, good year for Nomar. 270 batting average, 15 home runs, and 56 RBIs. And he swings at the first pitch. It's a ground ball. Iglesias cuts across second base, throws on the run in the dirt, and Nomar Mazara is going to be safe. My first question to you, Tom Grieve, was that intentional?
I was thinking the exact same thing. He threw it so deliberately that he looked like he did throw it that way on purpose.
I mean, there is no intentional grounding in baseball, right?
I think he threw it on purpose. I'm not sure why, unless he thought he could throw it harder if he threw it right into the ground like that. It was a perfect throw.
Yeah, I mean, it made it, I guess, a nice hop. I guess that's the way you look at it for Tucci.
He might have been off balance to where he couldn't throw it in the air as hard as he wanted to. I'm not sure. But it didn't look, if it slips out of his hand, it's not going to go firmly and accurately. It's going to go to the side, and it's not going to go as hard. He just looked like he threw that right straight in the ground, like that's what he wanted to do. And he did it very well. He just didn't get it there in time.
It's an infield hit for Nomar Mazara. He'll take it. Adrian Beltre now lifts a high fly ball on the right side of the infield. Goodrum's calling for it. He's got it. And there's 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. I'll bring up Rougned Odor with Nomar Mazara on first base. Rugi struck out looking in his first at-bat.
We were talking about Zimmerman before the game and how many sliders he throws. He throws that many because it's his best pitch. It's definitely been his best pitch so far in this game. And you have to think, looking back over his last 2 starts, he's only given up 1 run in 12 innings. So he's been throwing the ball well. He's throwing the ball great tonight. He just didn't get away with 1 pitch. And earlier in the game, in fact, the second pitch of the game was a home run. Since then, he's been pretty much in command of this ball game.
Well, line drive out to center field, and this one is over. We'll head to the bottom of the 4th. Still 2-1 Tigers.
by sharing a photo or video with hashtag HatsOffForHeroes. For each post, T-Mobile will donate $1 to support veterans.
Well, 2-1 ball game so far here through 3.5 innings as we head to the bottom of the fourth. Some Ranger fans on hand. Another good crowd here this evening. It was a pretty good crowd last night. This one better than 21,000, and here we are on a Friday night. Another good crowd. Fireworks tonight here at Comerica Park in Detroit. We kind of continue to celebrate these summer months. Call 4th of July week, I guess, as well, as Nico Goodrum steps in against Bartolo Colon.
No, between innings, I was trying to think what Iglesias might have been doing on that ball. I'm going to make the assumption he did it on purpose, that it didn't slip out of his hand. And the only thing I can think of is when he caught the ball, he was close enough to first base to where, and he knew he had to throw the ball hard. He's close enough to first base where he didn't feel like if he threw it as hard as he can, the first baseman would be able to handle it if it was in the air. But if he threw it as hard as he can into the ground, it would take a hop and be easier to handle. The other possibility is he was off balance and didn't think he could get it there as accurately in the air as he could on the ground. But watching it again, I don't think there's any doubt he did it on purpose.
1-2. This one hit to the left side. Adrian Beltre makes a nice play, and Goodrum is out easily for the first out here in the fourth. And had he made that play on time, if Nomar Mazara was out, we would have been seeing that highlight forever.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I mean, you obviously, decades of baseball under your belt. I've never seen it. I've been around for a couple decades. Have you ever seen like to that degree?
You see guys bounce it when they're like in the hole at shortstop. But when you're that close to first base, I'm not sure. You know, there's a lot of times you get close enough to a fielder where if you throw it hard, he doesn't know exactly where it's going to go, and it just eats him up. He can't get his glove on the ball because he didn't have time to react to it. Not sure if he was close enough to where he was worried about that. He was definitely off balance.
Iglesias, I feel like he has a tendency to be a little bit of an underrated shortstop. He doesn't have the big bat, but defensively, he's done a really nice job. As Victor Martinez lifts a soft fly ball out to left field, Ryan Rua makes the catch, and there are 2 outs here in the fourth.
Let's watch him in slow motion. He's off balance. I mean, he threw that ball right in the ground. I think watching him again, he did it for accuracy. Thought he could get it there more accurately if he did that. I wish he was mic'd for the game and we could talk to him. I'd love to hear exactly what he said.
We definitely need more of that.
I'm gonna make my final guess. I'm gonna guess he did it on purpose and he did it for accuracy.
Well, it certainly made it, I think, easier for Odusi to handle. You just mentioned when you're that close, and if you rear back and throw it,
you can handcuff the guy.
Handcuff a guy, you don't have enough time to react, and you're always, you as a first baseman or any position, right? When you are anticipating a throw, the throw's coming your way, you always think about the bad throw. You're not going to catch the one that's right at you, but you have to be ready. And you're thinking about the bad one and making sure you're ready for that. And when a guy's that close, and you see him start to rear back, that could be a little bit uncomfortable. So Iglesias thought there might have been a better way, and there almost was.
Yeah, I think it's easier for the first baseman to catch that ball when it hops that far. You see it come out of his hand, you see the hop, you know exactly where the ball's going to be. If it comes out of his hand in the air and he throws it to you, then the only way you know where it's going to be is when it comes out of his hand. You only have one shot at it.
Well, Bartolo Colon with another 1-2-3 inning, and that is 8 in a row that he has sat down here against the Tigers. We'll go to the fifth. It's 2-1. Seattle. They've been playing some pretty good baseball, but Edwin Diaz, Tom, 34 saves now on the season. This guy's got a huge arm.
He does, and during the rain delay last night, we were talking about our MVP candidates. And, you know about Mike Trout, J.D. Martinez, so just to be a little bit different, I picked Edwin Diaz, and he's got, right now, 34 saves. Last night he had 33 saves. He got another one last night. So he's the first, he's got more saves before the All-Star break than any pitcher in history. The only other guy to have more than 30 was Eric Gagne, had 31. But the other thing he's done, he has 20 one-run saves.
Wow.
The major league record for one-run saves is K-Rod. Francisco Rodriguez had 23, so he only needs 3 more in the second half to tie the major league record for one-run saves. And it stands to reason he would have a lot of one-run saves because Seattle has won so many one-run games. The reason they have is because of how well Diaz has pitched. I knew the third baseman was in trouble on that ball. Looked like he was looking at it. And Iglesias just waited and had him like, what are you doing, man? Watch the third baseman. It looks like it's his ball. I don't think he's pulling a belt tray either. He just didn't judge that ball very well.
So finally Iglesias slid over and kind of bailed him out. I think he realized, look, you know what? I'll take care of this. You stay over there.
That's about as casual as you can help out a teammate right there.
Rodriguez did not look comfortable at all on that pop-up. Iglesias certainly did. And by the way, those 34 saves for Diaz, 6 more than the next closest, which is Craig Kimbrell. He's got, I'm sorry, 8 more.
Yeah.
Kimbrell's got 26. As Ronald Guzman lines a base hit in left field.
I think Wade Davis has 25 or 26, so he'd be leading either league by 7 or 8 saves. That's a pretty good fastball there. That was his two-seam fastball tailing away from him. Guzman hit it right off the end of the bat, but found a hole with it. Ronald 7 for his last 14 since he came back from concussion protocol.
It amazes me to see some big league infielders and some good ones that are uncomfortable on those pop-ups, like we saw Rodriguez right there. Another Rodriguez, Alex Rodriguez, as good of a baseball player as he was, and he wanted
no part of a pop-up.
Was that amazing? It always amazed me.
It is,
because obviously what he did over the course of his career, the kind of player he was, but when it came to pop-ups,
he wanted no part of it. He looked. The first thing he did is look for the outfielder and hope the outfielder came in to catch it.
Good bunt here by Rua. Nice play by Zimmerman, though, as he shuffles that one to first base, and Rua will be retired. Guzman goes down to second, but that was certainly not a sacrifice, but a bunt attempt for a hit by Ryan Rua, and it goes down as a sacrifice.
Yeah, he almost got it by Zimmerman. Zimmerman made a nice comeback. We've seen his quickness on the throw to second base on Delino DeShield's bunt to get a force out. And he had to use some quickness there because Rua gets down the line pretty well, too. Yeah, it's one where we were talking about that before the game started, where he's bunting for a base hit all the way. And with 1 out, I don't believe you should get a sacrifice on that. But the rule book says the benefit always goes to the runner, to the batter. So if you put the bunt down, you move the runner to second base, and you get a sacrifice bunt. Where there's no outs, then it's kind of hard to determine exactly what the batter was doing. But with 1 out, you know the guy's not sacrifice bunting. No position player that I can remember ever bunted a sacrifice bunt with a man on first base at 1 out. But that's what the rule book says, so Ryan will just say thank you very much.
Because, of course, it doesn't count as an official at-bat when you sacrifice. And conversation came up in the Astros series back in Arlington because Jose Altuve did the same exact thing, but it was in the first inning with a runner at first, and there is no way that Jose Altuve is sacrifice bunting in that situation. But one less official at bat, and over the course of a full season, it's not going to have much of an effect on your batting average, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and I guess that's up to the discretion of the official scorekeeper. But I've yet to see and you don't see it very often, but I've yet to see an official scorekeeper rule that an out for the batter and not a sacrifice bunt, even if there is 1 out. But when you've got an MVP at the plate batting in the middle of the lineup, one of the best hitters in baseball, and you think he's going to sacrifice bunt with 1 out, I think common sense should prevail right there. Unless there's, and I'm not official scorekeeper, and I don't want to be an official scorekeeper. I'd never be an official scorekeeper. And maybe there's some kind of a rule that we don't know about that states that it has to be a sacrifice punt.
Well, no effect either way because Delano DeShields goes down on strikes. That's 6 strikeouts for Jordan Zimmerman. We're through 4.5 here at Comerica. The Rangers by a score of 2-1. You see that 420-foot sign. That is dead center here at Comerica Park. We saw Shin-Soo Choo hit a home run just to the right of that to start off this game. But Tom, you and I were talking about Old Tiger Stadium yesterday. 420, 20 feet shorter than the center field fence at Old Tiger Stadium, which it said 440.
440.
Dead center field.
I know.
And if you hit a home run out to center field, well, you were a man. There was definitely no cheap home runs. I still remember hanging a changeup to Bobby Bonilla that, you know, you see it, pitchers throw a pitch, and you're just like, all right, I'm getting a new baseball from the umpire. I pretty much was anticipating that. And I turn around, and Brian Hunter is standing in front of the 440 sign and caught that fly ball on the track. That's an F8. Keep moving along here.
Well, I'll drop a name that you've never heard of.
Uh-oh.
We had a catcher back in 1972, I think it was, named Hal King. Called him Julio. He hit a ball against the Tigers into the upper deck just to the right of the 440 side.
Goodness,
he
really?
just killed that ball. But at Old Tiger Stadium, the flagpole was inside the fence. And it was supposed to be inside the fence here. And it was until they moved the fence in and left center field. You can see the flagpole right there is inside the outer wall, which, as we mentioned last night, was the wall when the stadium first opened. It's not behind the new wall. And that was kind of a, I guess, tribute to Old Tiger Stadium. You never had to worry about it because about once every month someone would hit a ball that you'd have to worry about running into the flagpole, if that often. It's like an old Yankee Stadium. It was 460 feet in center field, and the 3 monuments were in play in center field.
Boy, I would love to see the StatCast of that home run, the one you were just talking about, dead center field at Old Tiger Stadium.
It had to be one of those 460, 470 balls.
Well, this one is hit deep to the track by McCann, but Nomar Mazara, well, he pulled it in, didn't he? He certainly did. He dropped it on the exchange, but that's the first out here in the 5th. Let's take a look at this one, Tom.
Yeah, a couple of good at-bats for McCann. He's the one that hit the home run. Drives this one right to the wall. This ballpark to me is it's like an optical illusion. When you look out to right field, it looks like that 365 is a lot farther than it really is. I don't know why, but 365 to right center field like that is really not that deep. but at least to my eye, it looks like it's deeper than that. Then you watch balls get hit and they go out of here and you go, man, that wasn't that far.
Yeah, that's probably your best chance. Obviously, it's shorter down the right field line, but as far as anywhere where maybe that outfield wall is a little bit closer, or at least closer to average, that 365 mark just inside there to the straightaway right field gap, that one gives you a chance, but the wall just jets out right after that. And that's what I was mentioning earlier. We got cut off as we went to break. There's a lot of triples to be had in that alley over there. Castellanos last year led the American League with 10 triples, and we look at him as a little bit more of a power hitter and don't think of him as a triples guy, but he had 10 of them a year ago. A lot of that has to do with his ballpark. Well, Rodriguez hits a ground ball to Elvis Andrus' right. He tries to backhand it, but cannot exchange it cleanly, and this one will go down as a base hit for Rodriguez. Well, let's take a quick Chevy game break. Let's throw back to Dana Larson. Well, thank you, Dana. We appreciate that. And with one out, Jose Iglesias steps in now here against Bartolo Colon, who continues to throw the ball well so far here this evening. Bartolo over to first base, but Rodriguez gets back in time. Bartolo Colon let that home run up to McCann. We'll take a look at the replay here.
Ooh, pretty close. I don't think he was going on that play, but he caught him right in the middle of his secondary lead. Not his secondary lead, his regular lead. It looked like he was taking a step to lengthen his lead right as Bartolo threw over there.
And another throw over, and Rodriguez back in plenty of time. So James McCann hit a home run in the second inning. It was a 2-run shot off Bartolo. And then after that, Bartolo retired 9 straight. That base hit by Rodriguez broke up the string for Bartolo Colon, who's been in a nice groove. Really, we haven't seen him make very many mistakes at all tonight, as he has kept these Tigers hitters off balance.
And sometimes we assume that everybody watching the game knows exactly what we're talking about when we use a baseball term. Well, if we can watch the runner at first, you'll see the difference between his lead and his secondary lead. This is his lead. This is how far he gets off the base before the pitcher lets go of the ball. Once he knows the pitcher is going to let go of the ball, right here, he takes a secondary lead, which is much longer than his first regular lead.
A little pop up to the right side. Nice play by Rougned Odor. That's good for the second out here in the 5th inning. And those secondary leads, right, Tom, are so important for base runners. I think it's easy that sometimes guys will get a little bit lazy, but a solid secondary lead could be all the difference in the world to being safe and out, or the idea of taking an extra base. And I mean, have you noticed that trend? We talk about the little things in the game all the time, and sometimes secondary leads seem like an area where people can get a little lazy.
For sure. If you got a good secondary lead, can break up a double play. It can beat a force out at second. It can score you from first on a double. But if you've got a good catcher behind the plate, you have to be kind of careful, because if you take a big secondary lead and the ball gets by the hitter, he doesn't swing at it or doesn't hit it, the catcher can pick you off first base.
Well, here's a little blue base hit into center field for Victor Reyes, and with 2 outs, Rodriguez is able to go to third, and we'll put runners at first and third with 2 outs here against Bartolo Colon.
Probably the teams taking the least amount of a secondary lead were the teams playing against Pudge. Hit that ball off the end of the bat, soft single to center. You couldn't take a big secondary lead against Pudge because he could pick you off and get rid of the ball so quickly. Most catchers can't do that, so you're a little safer doing it. But they didn't take much of a secondary lead when he caught.
Look at guys like Wilson Contreras with the Chicago Cubs, the guy who's not afraid to throw behind runners. James McCann actually does a pretty good job at that as well. Going back to 2016, he is backpicked to first base 38 times. But I feel like, too, I know you've done this working with younger kids, that secondary lead, especially when they can first start leading, they seem a little nervous. Everyone's so worried about getting thrown out to try to get them to take that really good Aggressive secondarily could be a challenge.
It's so much fun watching little kids like 6, 7, and 8-year-olds when they're first trying to figure out how far you can get off the base and will I get picked off, and they take these little baby steps and they're looking tentative as they move off the base. And it's really something that's hard to teach. You can teach a little kid that this is what you do, but he has to almost find his comfort zone. You'll see the more aggressive kids that get a huge lead off the bag because they're pretty confident the pitcher can't get it over there. But for some of the kids, it takes a while to gain that confidence to take that kind of a secondary lead.
I think the big thing for me whenever working with kids, and I think parents, this is a really important lesson, is you learn by making mistakes, right? So go ahead and take a big lead. Go ahead and get picked off, and don't yell at your child after he gets picked off, and understand he's going to learn from that. Don't make them feel bad in those situations. That is exactly how you figure out. They're much better learners by experiencing it than us telling them what to do.
Definitely. Yeah, and the younger the kids, the harder it is to play the game. It's such a difficult game to play, and when parents sign their kids up to play as 6- and 7-year-olds and they're playing baseball for the first time, they're almost guaranteed not to like it, because you have to learn, you have to catch a ball, you have to throw a ball, you have to hit a ball, and it's not easy to do if you haven't practiced or you haven't played before. So it's a tough sport to learn how to play.
Of course, all the failure that comes along with the game, and you make it out and you feel bad, but you have those conversations along the way and understand that you're going to get out a lot.
Some of the kids don't even know when they've failed and when they haven't failed. For instance, I've seen kids cry in a 7-year-old game. They get thrown out at second when they're on first base on a force out. Guy hits a ground ball to short, he steps on second, and the kid running to second starts crying. He didn't do it. He didn't do anything. But I love the coaches who coach youth league games and encourage their kids, instead of holding the ball up in the air to stop the runners, if you see the runner, throw the ball, take a shot. Now, if it goes by him and the other team scores, that's the way it goes. But learn how to play the game.
I agree.
Try to catch it, try to throw it. Because 10 years from now, no one's going to remember the score of a 7-year-old T-ball game. But they will remember it if you make a throw all the way across the diamond and get somebody out.
A ground ball to Elvis Andrews. He's going to flip this one to Rugnet Odor, and the inning is over. So a couple of base hits, but no runs across for the Tigers. We are through 5 innings here at Comerica. The Tigers still leading the Rangers 2-1.
Rangers 2-1, and it's time for our Southwest Airlines player breakdown. Let's go to the first inning. The second pitch of the game, Shin-Soo Choo extends his on-base streak to 45 games with a 430-plus foot home run to dead center field. That's getting the streak out of the way early and in a dramatic way. Tigers would answer with a 2-run homer in the second by James McCann, and that's our score as we head to the 6th inning with Choo leading off.
Here's pitch number 60 for Jordan Zimmerman. It's a 91-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner. 0-1 to chew.
Are you talking about Jordan Zimmerman, CJ, and how he pitched in Washington? And the way he pitched in Washington led to his contract. The first 2 years of the contract did not go that well. He was 17-20 with an ERA well over 5. Trying to get Chu right here to lead off the 6th. But if you're a Tiger fan, you're hoping that he can put it together, because they've got him signed to a lucrative contract for a couple of more seasons. He's virtually untradeable right now unless you wanted to eat a large portion of the contract. But with teams needing a pitcher, if what you're going to get in a trade is the way he's throwing right now, and the Tigers took a lot of money off your hands, he might be a valuable guy to get. He looks pretty good tonight.
He certainly does. And you mentioned the string that he's been on here lately, throwing the ball pretty well. And what a turnaround from a year ago. Yes, those first 2 years, there were some struggles. Last year was really rough for him. He had an ERA over 6, 6.08 ERA. That's the highest that we have seen in the game among qualified starters since 2011, when John Lackey had a 6.41 ERA. So it was about as bad as it could be for Jordan Zimmerman a year ago, but he seems to have gotten things figured out. Now, he did miss some time. He had a right shoulder impingement. He was activated on June 16th after going on the DL on May 8th. So he missed about 5.5, 6 weeks of the season. But since he's come off the DL, he's been very good.
You know, there's a lot of ways to look at it, too. If you can't trade him without assuming a huge part of his contract, and he's throwing the ball well, you might as well keep him and hope that he can be a veteran stabilizer on a young team that's trying to build for the future. Going to have to pay him anyway. There's no way next year the Tigers are going to come up with 5 competent young starters building with a future. And so if he's throwing the ball well, you might as well keep him and let him be kind of the veteran anchor of your pitching staff. Not all that bad a thing.
Yeah,
you're going to have to pay him anyway.
Exactly. It's not very fun, I got to believe, when you're in that front office and you're eating salary and watching a player play somewhere else. I mean, Justin Verlander, they're certainly eating some of his salary right now and watching him pitch well for the Houston Astros. That's certainly a difficult thing to do. But things have changed here with the Tigers. They made their run. Mr. Ilitch, the longtime owner of this club, passed away last year, really poured a lot of resources into the Detroit Tigers, and their payroll did not match their market. They went well above probably what the market said they should have been spending. But ownership group here, Mr. Ilitch was a former minor league baseball player. He's had a lot of success with the Detroit Red Wings with the 4 Stanley Cups that he won with them, but he wanted a baseball title in the worst way, so they went out and they got Miguel Cabrera, and they spent the money on Zimmerman and Victor Martinez and extending Justin Verlander and bringing in Justin Upton. Didn't quite happen. They had a couple of runs of the World Series but didn't win one, and so now they go in that complete opposite direction of trying to shed payroll, start over, rebuild. Now Miguel Cabrera poses a little bit of a problem. He's injured and his contract runs through 2023, so they still have him for quite a long time. But yeah, Zimmerman's an interesting one. Better than $20 million remaining each of the 3 years, including this one, on that contract. I guess it comes down to how much would you be willing to eat to make it worth it.
Yeah.
You know, if you could save yourself even $5 million a year, say over the next 2 years, it seems I'm kind of with you. I think it would be a struggle. Say you're going to eat $15 million a year so that it saves you maybe 12. I don't know. It'd be tough to do unless you get a big prospect in return.
Yeah, the only way I could do that if he was just throwing mediocre, and the other team said, well, all right, we'll pay him $5 million and hope that it gets better. You know, then maybe you do it because a young guy's going to be as good as that anyway, probably. But if he's throwing well, and I'm not trying to predict what he's going to do the rest of this year and the rest of his contract, just going out the way he's throwing right now, assuming he threw well in his last 2 starts, 1 run in 12 innings. If he's throwing the ball like this, then I'm not eating $15 million to watch him pitch well somewhere else.
Well, he strikes out Nomar Mazar, and so the good night continues for Jordan Zimmerman. Just 1 run allowed through 6. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th when we get back. by a score of 2-1. Well, the Coca-Cola Family Pack offers savings of over 50% on tickets, food, Kids Zone access, souvenir programs, and Coke soft drinks. It's available July 23rd to 26th. It's the Rangers and the A's. Check it out, TexasRangers.com/specials. Bartolo Colon delivers an 86-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner to Nick Castellanos. Castellanos so far 0 for 2. He flew out to right and he's grounded out to short. Oh my.
That is getting sawed off right there. That pitch looked pretty good to hit, I guess, when it came out of Colon's hand, but as it got closer to the plate, it got closer and closer to his thumbs. See if we can tell where that ball hit the bat. That ball, it looked like it came pretty close to hitting him right in the hand. Castellanos doesn't walk very much. He's a free swinger. So he's going to swing at pitches out of the strike zone, but he might have wished he didn't swing at that one. Going to have to go ice his thumbs down.
What's so amazing watching Bartolo, right, is that late movement on the sinker. It's not a power sinker, obviously, because of the velocity, but to get a good hitter like Castellanos to get jammed that badly, I mean, it really does speak to the late movement. I wonder for you, two-seam fastballs, maybe the nastiest one that you remember seeing a late live movement, high velocity?
Yeah, I don't remember facing many guys that threw like that. There were some guys that threw maybe 88 miles an hour that had sinkers. Guys like, Kansas City had a couple. Doug Bird, Al Fitzmaurice had sinkers like that. A guy named Paul Hartzell, I remember throwing a sinker. But I don't know that there was many guys throwing power two-seam fastballs that would eat you up like that.
It's interesting to kind of think about the evolution of pitching and what has become more popular, where we are with the cutter now and the sinker. I think Greg Maddux kind of put the sinker necessarily on the map, but the way that Bartolo uses it, right, away to right-handed hitters, that backdoor two-seam fastball into lefties. Nick Goodrum just saw one on his first pitch. That was kind of a Maddux thing, and so maybe not as much. You're seeing probably more four-seam fastballs and curveballs in your era.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, guys were starting to throw sliders. You didn't see split finger pitches. Most guys threw a straight changeup. Not many split finger pitches. A lot of guys threw sliders, probably not as much as they did today. You didn't see as many cut fastballs, although I think the longer you go back, the more it was likely that a cut fastball was just called a slider back then. Slider, I think, now breaks a little bit more than people envision a slider breaking, if you want to call it the old days. Now there's a pretty definite distinction between a slider and a cutter. Boy, there's another one right there. Boy, those might be back-to-back. Two of the softer balls you'll see.
And we just saw a couple of good hitters get eaten up by 86 and 87 miles an hour.
Yeah, that was a two-seam fastball that was coming back away from him toward the plate. I don't know why he swung at that ball. That was more inside when he decided to swing at it than it was when he made contact with it, and he still got jammed.
So as pitchers, it feels good if you can embarrass a hitter a little bit. It's one thing to get him out, but you want to embarrass him too. As a hitter, what is more embarrassing, swinging and missing or getting sawed off really bad?
I would rather swing and miss for strike 3 than get jammed and hit a little dribbler back to the pitcher. I mean, I can walk back to the bench like I did many times striking out, and no one's going to say a thing. But when you get sawed off and hit a ball that stops rolling before it gets to the pitcher, you're just waiting for it from your teammates when you get back to the bench. So that may be a silly thing to say, but I really would. I'd rather swing and miss than get jammed like that.
I think I agree. As a pitcher, it's fun to watch a really weak contact.
And a pitcher is going to get a lot more joy out of sawing you off than he will making you miss.
Well, very
How about
smooth.
those 3 balls?
I mean, just unbelievably weak contact here by the Tigers against Bartolo Colon in the 6th inning. Well, when we get back, we're going to see Adrian Beltre leading things off here for the Rangers as they try to tie this up against the Tigers. score of 2-1. Adrian and Sandra Beltre invite you to uncork for a cause. It's July 22nd at the Meridian Dallas, the Stone League, to support the Texas Rangers Foundation. It's the debut of Adrian's 3,000 hit 2015 Sonoma Blend. Limited tickets are available at uncorkforacause.com. Well, as much as we were talking about that home run, Tom, to dead center field at Old Tiger Stadium and how cool it would be to have the numbers, the data on that, how far it went, how hard it was hit, all that good stuff. We do have that now. And so we were just talking about that last inning, Bartolo Colon. First of all, the way that it reads on MLB.com is really fantastic. Nicholas Castellanos grounds out softly. Nico Goodrum lines out softly, and Victor Martinez grounds out softly. Now, they did not
that
get...
might be giving all three of them credit. It should be very softly.
Adrian Beltre hits a high fly ball to center field. Jones is there. He'll make the catch. Now, they don't have exit velocity for Victor Martinez, the last ground out, but Castellanos, 40 miles an hour off the bat. Goodrum, 57 miles an hour. So combined, 97 miles an hour.
Wow.
That is what Joey Gallo is averaging this year with his exit velocity.
Well, I would have had no idea how hard Castellanos is going. I'm glad I know now. It's kind of a point of reference. It's going to be pretty hard to hit one less than 40, although if you really get sawed off and hit... in fact, I saw someone on a highlight. I meant to keep track of who it was. Kenley Jansen sawed someone off about a week ago in a Dodger game, and it was a full swing, and that ball went about 4 feet out in front of the plate. It almost, in fact, it did stop. It was a decent hitter. He was a left-hand hitter. I can't remember who it was, but that's the worst jam shot I've ever seen.
You talk about cutters. Kenley Jansen, one of the best in the game, and I've had this conversation multiple times. And I don't just say just to get people riled up, but the reality is when it comes to cutters, Mariano Rivera, I think, probably really put it kind of on the map for everybody. But Kenley Jansen has taken it to another level. Mariano Rivera is certainly the best closer we have ever seen, and maybe one of the best that we'll ever see. But the cutter that Kenley Jansen throws, it's a better cutter. I know people get upset sometimes when you say that, but he gets way more strikeouts than Mariano ever did. He can generate swings and misses. Now, Mariano broke bats like crazy. He kept Louisville Slugger in business for a long time because of the amount of bats that he would break. But Kenley Jansen's cutter is something special.
Yeah, and I guess CJ, it's a matter of how you want to grade the cutter. If you grade it as a swing and miss pitch, or you grade it as a pitch that jams the hitter badly for a week out. I'm not sure which qualifies as a better cutter. Let's put it this way: if you're a left-hand hitter, or a right-hand hitter for that matter, I wouldn't want to hit against either one of them. Let's check out the ones you're talking about, CJ, for exit velocity. This is Castellanos. That's a 40-mile-an-hour rope to first base. That ball did come pretty close to hitting him right in the hands. This is a little blooper at, what'd you say, 57 miles?
57.
57, and here's a soft one. This one didn't register, but that's probably, I guess, around 50 or 60, somewhere right around in there. 3 back-to-back-to-back of the weakest 3 outs that you'll see.
And doing it without overpowering
and that's not
stuff.
A guy throwing like Kenley Jansen and Mariano Rivera either. It's masterful, though, when he's throwing like this.
It was interesting, too, as you were mentioning kind of the cutter, lefty-righty. I think that was a mistake sometimes that managers would make, thinking the idea of putting a left-handed hitter in there against a right-handed cutter. And Damian Easley played here with the Tigers and the Angels and a couple other teams of the Padres, whose son the Rangers just drafted this year in the 5th round.
360.
Used to say that Mariano Rivera's cutter was like termites on your bat. And he was a right-handed hitter, but for some lefties that would get up there, they'd have even a tougher time as that thing just came barreling in on the small part of the bat.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of games where a right-hand hitter probably did have a better chance. We might see in a career game right here.
That's 10 strikeouts now for Jordan Zimmerman in a very easy 7th inning for him. The Tigers are going to bat in the bottom of the 7th. They continue to lead this one 2-1. extremely well. Tigers still leading the Rangers 2-1 here in the bottom of the 7th. Let's take a look at our progressive upcoming schedule. We got 2 more here in Detroit. Then the Rangers will head to Boston, take on the Red Sox for 3, an off day Thursday, and then it's off to Baltimore to take on the Orioles. It's a 3-game series, and then we'll head into the All-Star break, that 4-day break for the Rangers before things pick up again at home against the Cleveland Indians on the 20th. Tom, we mentioned how well Jordan Zimmerman's throwing the ball tonight. 10 strikeouts for him. The last time he had double-digit strikeouts, you have to go all the way back to 2014. That's when he was pitching for the Washington Nationals, and that was up against the Miami Marlins. He struck out 10. He also threw a no-hitter in that game. He had just a 1 walk. Threw 104 pitches to get through 9 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. So it has been a while. 4 years nearly for Jordan Zimmerman, who's been locked in, not just tonight, but really over his last 4 starts now, as Bartolo Colon registers a strikeout looking, and that is number 3 for Bartolo, who came into this game where he was 33rd all-time on the strikeout list, and this pitch right here just tied him with A.J. Burnett for 32nd.
Wow, perfect pitch. He's made a lot of them tonight, both sides of the plate. Been a fun game to watch if you're a fan of a pitcher's duel. 2 veteran right-handers with their best stuff tonight. In Bartolo's case, not the best stuff he's ever had, but the best stuff that he has right now.
Just 8 hits combined so far in this game, 4 each for the Tigers and the Rangers. 2 of those hits were home runs. Chu hit a home run to lead off this game, and then James McCann hit a home run 2-run shot in the 2nd inning. And this really is, I mean, first of all, it has been a really well pitched game, but also, at least on Jordan Zimmerman's side, somewhat indicative of what we have seen in the game overall. Home run, a lot of strikeouts. Now, no walks for Zimmerman so far this evening. No walks for either guy, either pitcher so far in this game.
Pretty good pitch counts. Zimmerman ended the 7th inning with 85 pitches. Bartolo's at 83 pitches right now.
There's Chu, who kept that on-base streak alive up to 45 games now as he hit home run number 17. I think it's safe to say that James McCann has had the best swings against Bartolo Colon. The home run that he hit, but then also the deep fly ball to right center field that Nomar Mazara caught up against the wall.
Yep, he does. He looks like he's right on everything tonight. About ready to fire one inside after a number. No, it's not. He's keeping it out there. Threw a slider that time, though.
No, 2 outs. Let's head back to Arlington and check in with Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. He's only 25 years old.
Wow, what a great player.
That is amazing. Well, Rodriguez swings at the first pitch, ground ball to Elvis Andrus, and the side is retired in order, and a pretty easy inning for Bartolo Colon. We are through 7. It's still 2-1 Rangers.
Both pitchers have gone 7. They've each given up 4 hits. They've each given up a home run. One was a 2-run homer, and that's why it's a 2-1 ball game. And let's look at the strikeouts. Perfectly pitched 2-seam fastball on both sides of the plate. Bartolo has struck out 3. Jordan Zimmerman has been even better as far as strikeouts go. He struck out 10 in the game. We mentioned before the game what a good slider he had. It's been at its best tonight. 7 innings for Zimmerman. The only run he gave up was on the second pitch of the game. Shin-Soo Choo took him deep.
That's been pretty incredible. You see it there. Pitch number 86 for Jordan Zimmerman. Bartolo Colon also has 86 pitches. And so you look at pitch counts, and you'd be kind of surprised to think that and learn that one guy has struck out 10 and one guy has only struck out 3, but the pitch counts through 7 innings have been nearly identical. We're looking at dueling potential. I don't believe in the jinx, but I mean a couple of complete games here tonight.
Yeah, it's not out of the question. Both managers are going to have to let their guy go over 100 pitches, probably. But the way they're pitching right now, they're cruising. Boy, Zimmerman is just pinpointing that slider, one right after the other.
It's a 3-pitch strikeout, and it's number 11 on the night for Jordan Zimmerman.
You know, the Rangers have been swinging the bats, and it just goes to show you it doesn't matter how well you're swinging the bats. When you run up against a pitcher who has his best stuff with pinpoint command of it, it's tough to hit. That slider is definitely a strikeout pitch. And his fastball has probably been better tonight than it has been for the most part, even though it's only 91 miles an hour. He's had good movement with his 2-seam fastball, a great location along with it. Struck out 5 out of the last 6 hitters.
And 5 of those 11 strikeouts have been looking too, which has been impressive. Now, we mentioned at the very beginning of the game that it appeared that Ed Hickox was calling the corners. A couple of pitches may be off a little bit, but it's been consistent, right? That's always what you want.
It's been consistent. I think you'd definitely say he's probably had a pitcher's strike zone, but it's not outrageous. He's not counting blatant pitches out of the strike zone as strikes. I think he's just calling a consistent game, and it's right near the corner. Pitcher's getting the benefit of the doubt. Nothing wrong with that.
Ground ball to Iglesias, and he throws over to first base, and so that's 2 outs here in the 8th. Well, Ranger fans, you can enjoy your next Rangers game in the comfort of a climate-controlled suite. Most suite packages include parking and a food and beverage package. Make sure you visit TexasRangers.com/suites.
You know, after Choo's home run, the Rangers have had 3 hits. Ryan Rua was jammed and hit a ball to right field. Ronald Guzman hit one right off the end of the bat, and Nomar Mazara had an infield hit. Those are the only 3 hits. The majority of the outs, I guess, have been strikeouts, or at least half of them. But not many other balls have been hit hard. I'm trying to think if there's been another hard hit ball. There might have been a solidly hit ground ball. Odor hit a somewhat line drive to right center field. Other than that, other than the home run, this has been a masterpiece by Zimmerman.
It certainly has, and that slider right there at 90 miles an hour. As we'll take a look at the Southwest.com live look into the Tigers bullpen. So double barrels going right now. We showed you the pitch count for Jordan Zimmerman, currently at 94. He's thrown a season high 97 so far this year. So dealing with that right shoulder impingement. He's had a couple of injuries here over his career with the Tigers, and a neck issue and a lat issue as well. So they're probably going to be a little bit careful. He is, by the way, 1 strikeout away from tying his career high of 12. Now this one is lifted into shallow left center field, and Reyes will come on and make the catch. And so it has been 8 innings, 1 run for Jordan Zimmerman. We'll see if his night is over. Well, we know Big Sexy's night's not over. He'll head back out here in the bottom of the 8th. out for his 8th inning of work. Jordan Zimmerman just finished up his 8th inning, and we'll see whether or not he'll come out for the 9th. There is some action in the Tigers bullpen, so maybe not. But in the meantime, Jose Iglesias steps in against Bartolo Colon. Iglesias so far 0 for 2 tonight, just to give you an idea how this game is going. It is the 8th inning, and he has only had 2 plate appearances. So 3rd of the night here for Iglesias as a little check swing goes over to first base. Ronald Guzman fields, and he'll take it himself and slides into first just ahead of Iglesias.
Yeah, a couple of breaking balls right there. A slider. That almost looked like a curveball. Looks like Zimmerman is done. And I guess from the Ranger point of view, it doesn't really matter who they bring in or how well he's throwing. He can't throw any better than Zimmerman just did for 8 innings.
He certainly
That's one of the best games we've seen pitched all year.
No doubt. Probably one of the better ones that he has had as a Tiger. You know, interesting story we didn't get into with him. I've always been fascinated just by his background. He was a Division III baseball player with the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. Pretty good success story for a guy who starts out at Division III.
Yeah. He's
turned into a really good big league starter, 2-time All-Star, and a guy that'll make over $150 million in his career when his contract is all said and done.
You know, pitching in the National League, I don't know the answer to this question. What would you say his velocity was in those big years with Washington?
It was a little bit better, but I don't remember seeing him necessarily as a high power velocity. He always had the good start. He was, you know, one of those guys you look at, and it's kind of a lazy term, but I think it always has legitimacy behind it. We say he was a pitcher that pitches, right, where he's not just relying on stuff. I don't think there's been a big dip in his velocity since he's come over here. We'll take a quick look and fire up the old internet machine, see if we can get an answer to that. But
it's just a perfect example of how a guy without an overpowering fastball, and I'm not trying to make him look like he's a candidate to win the Cy Young either. I'm just going on the way he threw tonight. How a guy can take an average fastball with pinpoint command and then mix it with a way above average slider and pitch a game like this. And he threw one pitch right down the middle of the plate, probably the second pitch of the game to Chu, where the last thing in his mind was that Chu was going to hit it 430 feet.
Well, there's a line shot and a nice play by Elvis Andrus.
That's maximizing the hang time right there.
And big smiles as always from, there you go, that's how high I jumped. Might have been an exaggeration.
I'm not sure he can go any higher than that.
It wasn't that high, Tom, was it?
His feet might have been that high if he lifted his knees up in the air.
So Zimmerman's fastball in his really good years, his best years that he had with the Washington Nationals, 94, 95 on average. So it was definitely a little bit better than it is now.
Well, if he had the same slider back then, it's not a surprise that he had such a good record over that 5-year period, 20 or 25 games over 500. It's not a surprise that the Tigers gave him a big contract either.
Well, he lifts a high fly ball to deep left field. Ryan Rua looks at it, and this one is gone, and that's a home run for Jacoby Jones. Home run number 7 for him. And now it is 3-1 Tigers.
Well, the last couple of games we've been talking about where the wall was when the stadium was built and the new wall. And that's a pretty long home run right there, but that ball wouldn't even have been a home run when the park was first built. That ball would have been right. We talked about the flagpole being inside the ballpark, and this ball, if I saw it right the first time, is going to land right near the flagpole. Never got over that second wall. I'm not sure it would have been an out, but Rua might have had a chance to get underneath it. Shows you what it took to be a home run before they built that new fence.
And you could see why Juan Gonzalez didn't want to stay, right? It's a really good example. We talked about it last night. And how many right-handed hitters, say, from the first few years of this ballpark before they brought the walls in, look at it now and say, oh, how many would I have had?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that players like Al Kaline, Willie Horton, probably looked at this stadium when it was first built and said, I'm glad we came up in Old Tiger Stadium instead of this place.
That's where you used to have to hit it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that they sympathized with Juan publicly, but deep down inside they probably agreed with him.
Castellanos steps in. Here's the 0-2, and he lifts one to right field, but it's right at Nomar Mazara, and so the inning is over, and it's 8 innings for Bartolo Colon. 3 runs allowed. The Rangers are going to go to the top of the 9th inning and try to get back in this thing. They trail by 2. Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. And by Ford. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. Well, the MLB.TV All-Star Sale is here for $39.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand. Subscription includes MLB At-Bat Premium, which allows you to watch on your favorite supported devices. Make sure you visit MLB.TV for details. Well, Jordan Zimmermann, as we suspected, his night is over, and it was a good one for him. And so now the Tigers will get into that bullpen, and it's Joe Jimenez that comes on in place of Shane Green, their closer, who is on the DL.
Well, the pressure's on Jimenez right now to come in and try to duplicate the performance of Jordan Zimmermann. It's been a pleasure to watch this game. The 2 pitchers have just been great. Neither one of them walked a batter. Zimmermann had the strikeouts. Bartolo got a lot of weak outs with great command of his 2-seam fastball. But he's pitched 8 innings. Home runs was the story in the game. Bartolo gave up 2. And Zimmermann only gave up 1.
First pitch fastball, 97 miles an hour from Jimenez. He's averaged 96 on that heater so far this season. The slider is sat at 85 and the changeup at 89. That's been part of the conversation with Chu this year. We brought it up multiple times. High velocities have not been an issue for Shin-Soo Choo this season. He's done an excellent job. Not surprising with the good bat-to-ball skills that he has, that he's been able to get to fastballs 95 miles an hour and higher and do a little bit of damage against those pitches.
One thing, the streak that's Choo's in now, the way he's seeing the ball, you're going to make Jimenez throw him a strike.
.417 is the batting average for Chu from right-handed pitches that are 96 and higher this year, including an opposite field home run. And this one he rips to right field, and that'll get down for a base hit on a 96 mile an hour fastball. So that batting average will go up for Chu. A WinStar World Casino and Resort leaderboard. Let's get to it right now. Now this is timely. The Detroit Tigers have 18 blown saves this season. That is the most in Major League Baseball. With the tying run now coming to the plate in Elvis Andrews, there's an opportunity here for the Tigers, for the Rangers, to give the Tigers number 19.
Chu at 2 for 4 in the game. Has his on-base percentage for the season up over 40% now. He's, with this streak that has been gradually climbing. where he came into the game, third in the league at 399, probably over 40% right now. Talk about a pleasure watching the pitchers. It's sure been a pleasure watching him the last month and a half too.
There's 97 miles an hour just off the plate down. So count goes 1-1 to Elvis Andrus. I gave you those numbers on Chu, what he has done on 96 and higher. Elvis Andrus this year, of course, he's missed some time, but he's 4 for 7. That's 571 on the batting average, including a double and a triple on high velocities from right-handed pitching. So you and I were talking about the strike zone. I think we both agree that it's been fair. Maybe a little bit open, but nothing, as you mentioned, that seems completely out of control.
No.
I mean, it's been a pleasant game to watch.
Yeah.
I'd like to see.
Don't see many like it, but
no, this is the kind of strike zone
it.
you'd like to see get called, wouldn't you? More consistently, I think. I mean, hitters are going to tell you no, but the idea of keeping the game moving. Now, obviously, pitchers have to do their part and be around the zone.
Well, that's the other part of it. I think both pitchers have done their part tonight. They've given Ed Hickox behind the plate the chance to make those calls because most of the pitches they've thrown have been away from the center of the plate. Most of the calls he's had to make tonight have been tough calls. They've been right near the corners of the plate.
Now here's the pitch. Ground ball hit to the left side, and Rodriguez fields. Throws to second. They'll get one there. Over to first. Not in time. So Elvis Andrus is able to avoid the double play. So it'll be a fielder's choice. 5-4. Rodriguez to Goodrum. Let's take a look at our forward probables for tomorrow. We got a 4 o'clock Eastern time start. Coverage starts at 2:30 local time in Dallas, and you'll see Cole Hamels against Mike Fiers. Cole Hamels so far on the road this year, he has been fantastic. 2.05 ERA. Mike Fiers against the Texas Rangers, well, has not been good. So we'll hope that continues tomorrow. See his ERA up over 8. There's Cole Hamels. Nomar Mazara steps in now here with Elvis Andrus on first base. Chu started things off with a base hit. He was erased though on that fielder's choice by Elvis Andrus, and so now it's Nomar Mazara, who's 1 for 3 tonight. He struck out in the 6th, had a base hit back in the 4th. There's 95 miles an hour, and that one gets by Mazara. Count even 1-1. Long hold for Jimenez. There's the pitch, and that one misses downstairs. 96 miles an hour on the fastball from Jimenez. Number 77. We don't see too many of those at the big league level. Jimenez, by the way, 2 saves on the season so far here with the Tigers. The only 2 of his career. A good strikeout rate, better than 10 per 9 in his 40 innings of work. He has been stingy with the long ball as well. Just 2 home runs allowed. For Jimenez. 4 last year in 19 innings of work, but some big adjustments so far this season. Just those 2 in 40 innings. 3-1 pitch to Nomar, and swung on and missed. Fastball up in the zone. So we have seen Nomar swing and miss at a couple of fastballs that are up. So I got to believe. Well, Jimenez right now, I'm thinking about elevating another fastball in the zone.
Yep, I would be too. Same pitch. He was thinking the same thing. High fastball up and away that time. Nomar was able to get a piece of it.
And there's another fastball right down the middle, and Nomar Mazara goes down on strikes, and so the Rangers will be down to their last out. It'll be Adrian Beltre, but how about a quick word from our friends at Kia?
At Kia, get America's best value backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
So Adrian Beltre now steps in against Jimenez. I mentioned just 2 saves on the season for Jimenez, but he was a closer in the minor leagues. He had 30 saves back in 2016, 23 in 2015. There's the first pitch to Adrian, and that's a fastball that has popped up out of play. Count 0-1. It was a good night for Jordan Zimmermann. 8 innings of work, 4 hits, just 1 run allowed. He did not walk a hitter, and he struck out 11. That lone run came on a Shin-Soo Choo home run to kick this game off in the first inning. And Adrian Beltre turns on one, and it is hit well foul down the third baseline. Up over that big net that they have here at Comerica Park, the most extensive netting we have seen at any big league ballpark so far this season. Well, they're on their feet here in Comerica, better than 27,000 tonight as the Rangers are down to their last strike, and here's the 0-2. And here's a tapper hit to Jose Iglesias over to second, and the ball game is over. The Tigers are able to take game 2 of this series after losing last night 2 hours and 5 minutes. It was a pitcher's duel, and it was a good one between the Tigers and the Rangers, but the Rangers come up short against Jordan Zimmermann and Joe Jimenez, who closed things out. So I mentioned that final score of 3-1 here at Comerica Park. Daniel Larson, Mike Bassick, David Murphy will have player reactions and analysis for you. For Tom Grieve and John Radigan, I'm CJ Nikowski, inviting you to stay with us as our coverage of Ranger baseball continues right here on Fox Sports Southwest.